Thank you for being here this afternoon. As governor of the state of Hawaii, I am obligated to uphold its laws and protect our people. This afternoon, I signed an emergency proclamation for the situation on Maunakea. Since Monday, protesters have illegally occupied roads and highways. We are committed to keep a safe situation. Law enforcement has been extraordinarily patient and respectful towards protesters. However, even though law enforcement has done everything it can to talk and reason with protesters, the protesters continue to break the law and place the safety of the public at risk. The number of protesters have swelled, and their blockage of roads and highways creates a dangerous situation. This affects the ability of first responders to address emergencies, disrupts the public's ability to move freely and safely. The protesters' activities affects our local businesses, their ability to use Saddle Road and operate. The conduct of the protesters also diverts our law enforcement resources from protection of the broader community. They are endangering both the health of themselves as well as law enforcement and ultimately the citizens of Hawaii County. Again, we are always focused on the safety of our people. We do believe that this emergency proclamation gives law enforcement the additional tools that they need to continue to work to keep the people safe.
Any questions? Hey, Governor, there's dozens of people who are willing to get arrested over this. Hundreds of people have shown up on the mountain day after day. Demonstrations, rallies on practically every single island, on the freeways, at the airports, at the harbor. Do you feel that it's just time to throw in the towel?
Now, certainly we continue to enforce the laws and ensure that all of those in our community has the opportunity to exercise their legal rights. You know, the 30-meter telescope did receive all of the permits it is required to attain in order to be constructed, and we are certainly committed to ensuring that the project has access to the construction site.
Without talking about strategy, was it always the plan to try to move parts of the mountain today? Or was it initially the plan to do it on Monday? And if so, the demonstrations are you guys behind schedule?
No, I do think that we have been aware that many are passionate about this issue. We were committed to keeping everyone safe, but we were committed to being respectful. And so we have tried to balance accommodations of people who were wanting to exercise cultural practices. And we've been patient in trying to allow the protesters to express their feelings about the project. We are taking steps to assure the rights of those in the project to get the project moving.
So why the show of force today? What was the significance about today, Wednesday?
No, I mean, I don't think there was anything significant about that other than, we had been assessing, there were actions that were taken to secure the access road to keep people safe. There was quite a lot of activity by the Department of Transportation to set up barriers so that we could manage the crowds. So there were a lot of activities that we felt that we needed to do before we actually started moving equipment up to the construction site.
They're claiming victory 3 days in a row because the parts have not been able to move up the mountain. Do you agree with them? Would you say they've won?
I mean, I think we are looking at being able to provide safe access of the equipment to the site, and we are committed to do that. We did not have an explicit timeline of what that would look like. We continue to look at and assess the situation, work with law enforcement to determine what is the best way to provide safe access for the equipment to the construction site. It does give law enforcement more flexibility. It gives them more authority to close off areas and restrict access on Maunakea. This will allow them to be able to manage access to the site in a better way.
So does that mean that protesters will be blocked from getting to the site where they currently are? I mean, are you trying to get people out of that area? Is that
The emergency proclamation does give law enforcement the authority to close more areas of the mountain and the highway to ensure the public safety.
Does that include the area where the protesters are now?
It does include most of Maunakea.
What do the negotiations entail? Because, you know, the activists aren't going anywhere, so ultimately,
They weren't really negotiations. There was a lot of conversation and communication about, you know, encouraging everybody to be mindful, be safe, not get out of hand. So it was having a dialogue, trying to allow them to express what they wanted to. Certainly, law enforcement and the project, we wanted to assure them that they understood that cultural practices that did not interfere with moving equipment to the site would be allowed. But clearly, any effort that is illegal, any effort to block access to the construction site would not be allowed.
and what's the purpose of just taking them down the street, citing them, for them to just go back up just a couple hours later?
You know, the mechanics of the processing is being handled by law enforcement, Hawaii County Police, and Hawaii County prosecutors. So, you know, they've set up what the location would be for each of those activities.
Governor, we've heard from some TMT supporters that they're frustrated that law enforcement hasn't been more aggressive about clearing the road, that they seem to be going in and then they pull back, that it seems like there's half measures being taken. Meanwhile, the protest movement seems to be building. Could you respond to that?
You know, I wanted to commend law enforcement for all of their actions to this point. They have been patient, they've been professional, they've dealt with kupuna who are stating their opposition to the project. You know, and I have encouraged law enforcement to be respectful, but enforce the law. And so certainly we are looking at what is necessary to ensure that we can get project equipment and personnel to the construction site so that they can begin construction of the project.
What's going to happen next?
You know, we are assessing and working with law enforcement to look at what the current situation is and make decisions about what is the best way to proceed forward.
Do you expect that crews will be able to make it to the construction site tomorrow?
We don't have any specific timetable. As I said, you know, we did not map out day one we would do this or day two. We had concepts of things that we needed to do. And certainly we've been able to successfully execute those things. You know, we will continue to work to assure that we can provide access to the construction site for the materials and equipment that need to make it there.
It doesn't look like the protesters will let up. So, I mean, strategically, do you think issuing an emergency proclamation is really the best decision right now?
I do believe that issuing the emergency proclamation is important, and it's the best decision at this point in time. As I said, it does give us the opportunity to control more of the lands. You know, we have been trying to balance and maintain access to Maunakea in a way that would be respectful. It's very clear that we need to secure access in a better way. And so certainly we are looking at what that means and what kinds of activities we would need to initiate to allow us to make that happen.
Governor, you know, there are dozens and dozens of protesters up on the mountain. And so, you know, for the next few days after this emergency proclamation, you know, how will law enforcement go about, you know,
I think we'll be making further announcement as necessary. You know, I just wanted to inform you that we felt that it was important that I felt that it was important that we issue this emergency proclamation at this time. We'll be working with law enforcement to ensure that we can provide safe access to the construction site.
We've seen images of police officers with pepper spray and batons. As governor, are there steps that you won't take in regards to the protesters? Are there limits that you have in terms of what you'll be comfortable with law enforcement employing to try to clear access to them?
You know, we are working with law enforcement. As I said, they were consulted in issuing this emergency proclamation, and they did feel that it does provide additional tools for them. You know, as I said, we will continue to work, balance what practitioners would want to be able to do in expressing their opposition. As I said, we will enforce the law, and so anyone who restricts access to the construction site for equipment, materials, and personnel is breaking the law.
Project opponents were illegally in the road on Monday. They were illegally in the road yesterday. What changed today?
I think that we are looking at and preparing a number of things. As you, if you've been up to the site, you know, we've put barriers in place to try and manage the crowds. Those kinds of activities were always part of the plan in preparation for moving equipment to the site. As I said, we did not ever had a specific timetable of when things would happen. And certainly, you know, as we respond, we see what happening on the site, then we are making the decisions about how best to proceed. You know, we want to keep the community safe, and so we will continue to look at what actions the state and the county needs to take to assure access to the construction site.
I know that your office has been reticent about giving any numbers as to how much this is costing. It's obviously probably very early in the process, but are there any estimates that you can give us? And if not, is there a point where you might be able to release that information?
You know, certainly after we are successful in getting construction equipment and material to the site, we certainly can provide that. You know, as always is the case, the safety of our community is the #1 priority, and so certainly the resources that we need to provide safe access, we would be looking at making available.
We have time for one more question, Audrey. Governor, does this mean that do you expect that maybe you would like to see protesters removed from the mountain using this emergency proclamation?
No, we have not really talked yet about what specific actions we'll be taking. We certainly will be announcing that if those decisions are made. But that is one of the tools that become available in this emergency proclamation.
Governor Blaze has one more question.
Sure.
Governor, 4 years ago, you were criticized for the handling of the situation on Maunakea. What lessons have you learned since then?
You know, I think that we are committed to providing safe access for the community, balancing the interests of cultural practitioners against the right of the project to access the construction site. You know, we will continue to look out in the best interests of the people to assure that the project can get access to the construction site.